Hey guys, so I'm gonna be honest, this is like my third time of recording this because I kept messing up and like finding the wrong thing because I was trying to look for a certain spoken word. Anyway, I need to stop rambling. So the message of today is process, and on my first recording I was talking about how it's not always a word we want to hear. Like, if someone says to you, oh, you can get that thing, but oh, there's a process to get it. With I don't know about you guys, but first thing I'm gonna be thinking is, one, how long is it gonna take, and will it be worth waiting for? And actually, in a world that is culturally very instant because of technology and social media, like, we can get things now. Like, we can do Uber Eats and like get food without even having to do anything. So we can get things instantly, and I think especially in the millennial generation, we're so used to that actually it can affect wanting to be patient in a process of something. And so I just want to encourage you guys today to not ignore the process, to not rush the process, even though sometimes waiting for something to happen can be painful, and it can just be difficult. That it's not wasted time, and actually the process is more important, I think, than the destination, because if you rush to get to the destination, it can be messy, and things may not go as well. If you think about it, the best example I could think about something that has to go through a process is a plant. So in order for that plant to grow, you have to prune it, which means you have to cut off all the bad bits so it doesn't die, and you have to water it, and you have to watch it, and you have to be patient, and you have to allow yourself time to look after this plant. And through that process, it grows and it becomes beautiful. And that isn't wasted time. So the same for us. Like, with us, God sometimes takes us through a season of process, and that may look like having one-on-one time with him and kind of just being still and just sitting and waiting and listening to him. Like, for what sometimes, like, we want to be doing stuff all the time, but it's hard to go through that process until we're still, and that's when he does the work in us. And another thing is that there is provision in the process. If you're wanting something in your life to happen, just know that when we endure the process, God provides all the things we need. And I've seen this countless times in my life. And there's also purpose in the process as well. Because in that time, like I was talking about how plants grow and we grow, we learn new things about ourselves and new things about God, and we're more likely to overcome new challenges once we've kind of got past that first test of like enduring that process. So just know, actually, don't see it as wasted time, see it as valuable time that's gonna produce the purpose that God has for you, and whatever that looks like, it will be great. So after me rambling, I just want to read something to be honest with how I felt, maybe I don't know, last week or something like that. Yeah, I was basically spending time with God, but then just feeling, I wasn't feeling great, energy wise, physically, mentally, just felt really tired and weak and stuff. And it was frustrating because I really wanted to write a spoken word, and I began to write something, and then I do the classic thing where I try and be optimistic, and actually being optimistic isn't kind of having faith, it's actually just being unauthentic. So what I was writing was just, I was more focused on things sounding great or rhyming, and then I literally, because it was in my own strength, I had to stop because it just wasn't. Normally when God speaks to me to write the spoken words, it's just natural and it will just come to me, it will flow through as I write. But this, I was trying too hard, and actually it was God saying, you know, sometimes you have to just be authentic and literally write down exactly how you feel, because that's not what I was doing. What I needed to do was release all those emotions I was feeling so that I could get past how I felt, and God can just make me feel better from doing that. But I covered up by just trying to bury it down, and actually in the end I wrote something that was very real, and it became very easy, and things are flowing out because I was no longer trying to do it in my own strength, but I was doing it in God's strength. And yeah, so it's called Be Patient in the Process, because something beautiful comes out of the brokenness. And it's a bit like a monologue, okay? So yeah, I'm just going to read it to you, and I want you to just really think about those things that I'm saying. Saturday the 19th of October, 7:39 p.m. I'm in my room, began a spoken word because I felt God calling me to get out my frustration for the current turmoil I'm mentally and physically in. But I've stopped halfway because I've run out of things to say. You see, it began well, but the moment I began focusing on what rhymes, I lost sight of the reason I was writing it in the first place. And authenticity was lost, so I stopped. Sometimes in life we have to pause and ask ourselves, why do we cover up? Why do we bury what's inside? Maybe to strive for perfection. If I just write something good, does it make me look like a good Christian? The truth is, I feel uncomfortable, I feel agitated, I feel weak, my joints ache, my head hurts, I can feel tiredness overwhelm me from my head to my feet. I always think something is wrong with me because my health has always been so up and down throughout the years. Most of the time, nothing is really wrong with my body. Yet I always struggle with energy. Sometimes I feel like an 80-year-old trapped in a 23-year-old body. It's a battle I've faced since I was 16, 17. Something changed. The energy I once had drifted away. I've had to rely on God each day to carry me through the tough obstacles along the way. And by the grace of God, I've been able to sustain. There's so many thoughts that rush through my brain, 24 hours of the day, hope rising and deflating all in one day. I admit, I haven't been eating properly. I've skipped dinner in 2 days. What can I say? The thought of dragging myself down the stairs to make something I probably won't even be able to bear puts me in great despair. It's not fair. All I want to do is live a normal life without a care, and everything's all right. But I can't lose sight. For it is written, count it pure joy when you face trials of many kinds, for the testing of your faith produces perseverance. This perseverance produces endurance, to keep going no matter what. For the prize is worth more than 1,000 cries. In the end, we live eternally with the one who put the stars in the sky, the one who turned water into wine, a substance that came out of crushed grapes. A messy process, but nevertheless, something beautiful, something rich came out of something in a ditch. In the same way, we are crushed, hard-pressed on every side by the trials of life, but out of the brokenness there's beauty and wholeness and growth in the process, and that produces progress. Yeah, so that was just a little monologue thing I wrote. And yeah, that was my thought for today. And what I like about it is, I didn't think about the example of crushed grapes and stuff like that, and how and how like Jesus used that in the Bible, and that was something that was so memorable. That first miracle he did, turning water into wine, and that came from something that seemed so insignificant, and actually it really was. Yeah. And also the verse that was talking about counting joy when you go through trials. Like, it is crazy. It seems so opposite that we could find joy in the hard times. But, you know, the bit that I didn't mention earlier, talking about this whole process stuff, from that, it produces and strengthens our faith. And who doesn't want to, who doesn't want to have faith? Who doesn't want to know that no matter what happens in life, no matter what things get thrown at you, that you can overcome it because of faith in Jesus? Like, I think it's amazing, because the thing is, the world will say, oh, strive for happiness, but happiness is so it's just, you have it in a second, it can be gone in a moment. Like, happiness is fleeting, that's the word I was looking for, but joy is sustaining. Like, when you have true joy, that means that no matter what, you're not moved by the things that happen in life. And who wouldn't want that? Like, so my challenge today is for you just to remember that, count it joy when you face, like, if you think about it, when you get these trials, especially if you have faith in God, like, the enemy wants to distract you by these trials, but actually it's a privilege that you're going through these trials, because the enemy is threatened by the potential you have for what God wants to use you in this world. And God doesn't give you more than you can handle, and obviously it shows how strong you are that you can endure these trials. And yeah, I just think, if you're playing it safe, don't be surprised if you're not facing trials, because our faith in God, it can't be a lukewarm thing. You have to really be on fire for God, and you have to really kind of be all in or nothing. And it's when you're all in that actually you may get lots of these trials, but God's going to bring amazing things out of that. Like, I've heard testimonies that should on paper seem impossible for someone to overcome, and yet it is possible, because with God all things are possible. So I'm just preaching and ranting and rambling, and I really pray you manage to listen to all of this. And it's only because I'm passionate about you guys knowing that, we are so blessed to have a God that can help us through anything, and you don't have to do life on your own. Whether you're a Christian listening to this, or if you're not, we can all relate to facing a time of going through a process and going through a hard time. And actually, the difference is that you don't have to do that in your own strength, and you're not alone. So I encourage you, if you don't know Jesus, you don't have a relationship with him, to take that step of faith and ask him into your life, ask him to reveal himself, because he is true and he's real. And I'm not just saying that for the sake of it. I'm saying it because he's literally transformed my life, and he can transform your life. Because do you want to do life on your own? Do you really want to go through these hard things in life in your own strength. There's only so much as humans we can give. Like, we're not meant to carry the weight of the things that happen in this life. We can't. And that's why we have to give it to God and lift off, give our burdens to him, because we are just human. But the difference is, he's not. He is God, and he's supernatural, and he's all powerful. And I think that's amazing, that when you truly know that he's the creator of the universe, like, that changes the perspective, that changes the way you see everything in life. And all I want to say is take that chance to search for him. Search, just what have you got to lose? That's what I ask myself all the time. Like, honestly, there's literally nothing to lose. At most, you get to meet the most amazing God, the most amazing creator ever. So yeah, that's enough ranting for today. If you've forgotten anything I said, just remember, don't rush the process. Okay, bye.